Peace and all good. My name is Keith Warner. I'm a Franciscan friar, and I'm speaking to you from St. Francis Retreat in San Juan Bautista, California. I'm pleased to be able to talk a little bit about one of my favorite themes, and that's care for creation, a Franciscan spirituality of the earth. This is a title of a book that I co-authored with Sister Ilia Delio and Pam Wood. What I'd like to do is, in these 3 short little clips, talk about a couple of prominent themes in the Franciscan spirituality of the earth. And those 3 themes are vocation, or our ecological vocation, Franciscan peacemaking as it relates to creation, and what a public proclamation of Franciscan care of creation might look like. So I'll be talking about those 3 things, one each, in this and the next 2 clips. We can speak about our humanity's ecological vocation. That's a term that was coined by Pope John Paul II in the early part of 2000, right before the World Summit on Sustainable Development. What would that mean? Well, a vocation is a calling. It's a sense of moral purpose. We can also think of the intersection of the world's greatest needs and our heart's deepest desires as opening up the meaning of vocation. It means to respond to a call. In terms of the earth and its ecological crises caused by humanity, certainly this is a great need for the world. In fact, it may be among the most pressing moral concerns for humanity as we move forward and confront the full scale of ecological disruption on our planet. So a sense of vocation means to be able to respond to this. In our case, it means to respond with Franciscan values, with gospel values, to be able to fashion a response based on our values to try to turn from the direction we're heading, which is we are heading towards destruction as a species. And the earth may survive, but we as humanity will need to find a whole different way to be able to relate to the earth. This is really at the heart of my initial calling to become a Franciscan about 25 years ago. I'd had some very deep experiences of communion with God in creation in the Pacific Northwest. And so for me, I experienced God's love and compassion and beauty through creation. So there was never any doubt for me that the earth is God's creation, and that because God created it, it was valuable, religiously valuable, morally significant. And that was the background for my own hearing of God's call for me as an individual to become a Franciscan friar, which I began that process in 1988. So it was in that sense that I felt that addressing this need, helping people to care for creation, was central to my own understanding of who I wanted to be as a follower of Jesus Christ, as a Franciscan friar. This is, as I began to develop more clarity about this, I began to realize that I wanted to be a Franciscan environmental educator. And there aren't any job titles with that in it, but I wanted to be able to create some opportunities for myself and for those who might come behind me to be able to respond from the riches of our Franciscan educational tradition to foster care for creation. In my work at Santa Clara University, I teach classes that are about environmental problems and about religious responses, and of course especially those of our Franciscan tradition. And our students understand quite intuitively that these make sense, that they fit together. They don't suffer from the split or the division that we see so common in society, where religion has nothing to say to the earth and the earth is disconnected from a sense of faith or moral concern. They don't have to be persuaded. All I really need to do is present them as being a part of a whole, as a possibility, as there being a possibility of a unitive vision in which we as humans and all of nature are created by God, and they respond. I had one student, I'll call him Will, who about halfway through a term of a class that I was teaching, he had this look of kind of astonishment or perplexity on his face, and I asked him, what are you thinking about, Will? I had just spoken about the Pope's teachings about care for creation, and building on prior work I'd done about Franciscan values. And his jaw was sort of bouncing off the floor, and he said, I've been an environmentalist since I can remember. This is my 14th year of Catholic education. No one has ever told me that they're related. So for him, it was week 7 in a 10-week term, but the light flip came on, and he saw that these were a part of two parts of himself that, in fact, could make a whole. And I think that really is fundamental to being able to respond generously to the needs of the world today, to being able to see our ecological self and our spiritual self as being one and the same. And it's out of that singular vision, that unitive vision, that belief that humans are important and the earth is important. All were created by God. We are creatures. The earth is God's creation. It's out of that sense of unity that we can generate some authentically creative, constructive, compassionate, and just responses.